Hi everyone. Um, I want to know if you can hear me. If you can hear me, just type in the chat. Okay, can anyone hear me? Just say yes, no, I don't know. Okay, great. Um, I don't know if we should wait for some other people to join, but I guess this can always be watched like again. So, hi, officially introducing you to the Journey to AI Engineer certification. Um, really super excited to have everyone here. And for those of you who are going to be watching this later, um, so this session is supposed to be very brief and very short. And what I intend to do is just to introduce you to what is the program all about, for how long, how are the lectures going to be like, what's the learning mode, how we're going to um, what's going to be the outcome, right? And if we're going to have live classes or not. So I did send emails to everyone. I I sent two emails. So the first was is containing the schedule, right? I am aware some people probably didn't receive the first, maybe because they signed up late, but I'm going to send that again. And the schedule basically shows what we're going to do for the next 5 weeks. I know 5 weeks is really a long time, um, but then it's not the fundamental exam, right? It's an associate exam, right? And I won't say it's a lot harder. It's not harder. It's just that you have like more stuff to read. You have more hands-on lab. You have like more stuff to do. So that's why there's like a lot of time. And I also quite understand that for some people are working, right? Some are students, some like whatever you are. So it might not be comfortable to have like everyday classes or classes at specific times. So I think it is going to be comfortable for you and for me to have Paris just watch the recordings. So the plan is that I would do the session. I would um I would record this, including the hands-on lab, and then upload this to YouTube and share this with everyone. So, and I also created a Teams channel so that we can all communicate, talk, share ideas, and all those kind of things. Um, yeah. So I am aware that there might be a need, perhaps maybe sometime when we need to like come together, discuss, chat, and have like discussion amidst ourselves. Maybe sometime towards the end, right? That would be important. Then maybe we might have live classes, but then I'll let us know if that's gonna happen. Okay. So straight into it. So the reason for doing this is because I wrote the certification last year and had like pretty good score. Um, but I noticed that some of the materials, right, especially when you get to the hands-on lab, it's not always explicit, right? And sometimes you might get confused on, okay, what's more important, what's less important, and all those kind of things. So I'm not gonna share the exam questions, definitely not. But what I'm going to do, perhaps in the course of my lectures, is help you emphasize on things that are important, right, to your exam, um, and things that maybe not so important, right? Because the exams they're not like your typical objective questions, right? You they sort of require your understanding, like a deep understanding of the two. So for example, if you're going to use Azure AI search, you should really know what Azure AI search can do. You should have, because there are also scenario exams where you'll be given a case, right? And then you'll have to decide, depending on this particular problem you're trying to solve, what do you do, what to, what steps, those sort of questions. So And for me, it was a bit challenging because I didn't really have like videos or materials that could guide me. But so I spent a lot of hours, I think for 4 weeks, sometimes 3, 4 hours every day, trying to study, and not just study, right? You have to practice because you would have to, like, you just have to practice, right? Maybe in your case scenario, you might need to, like, actually not really write code, but then um decide, like, sort of arrange the code. Sometimes you might be asked, right, which of these codes are correct, which is not. So you would need to know the code, and sometimes you might have to write code, right? And although you have Microsoft Learn, I think you have access to the documentation in your exam. But then if you really don't know, you really don't know. Like, you really don't even know where to look for, because there's like tons of materials. So it's good if you're like familiar with the materials, so that when you want to check the documentation, you know exactly what to look for, right? Exactly what it is. So that's what I would say. Um, yeah, so that's why I think that it's sort of probably helpful for some people to ace their exams, right? I'm not sure. I'm not really following anyone's timeline. I don't know when your exam, maybe in June or in May or perhaps this April. So I'm just going to create this series of videos that not necessarily following anyone's timeline, right? So it's what you can use anytime, maybe when you're finished stock. Okay, so I want to quickly go over the schedule again, right? Give me just a second to put this up. So in the meantime, if you do have questions, you can ask them here, or you um, you ask them on Teams group. So sorry. Uh, okay, yeah, my screen is visible. Okay, cool. Um, so this is my own plan, right? So it's a bit more detailed than the documentation, sort of the schedule I sent to everyone. But so this plan is really what you see on Microsoft Learn. So I'm not using any special or different resources than what is already available. The reason I'm trying to do is make this sort of in a video, because Microsoft resources are like all text, right? And then make it sort of emphasize the most important things and help you walk through the hands-on lab, right? So you can actually replicate this. So it might be faster for you, right? I really don't know what learning method, but I feel that video might be faster than text. It really depends, right? But for the first week, which is next week, so the first video is going to be on Azure AI, right? Talking about the platform, what you can do with Azure, ML, OpenAI, search, and all those other things. We're going to look closely into the various methods you can access it, via through APIs or through SDKs, because I think those are the major two ways you can access these services. Um, And then in the next video, right, we're also going to talk about authentication, security, how to monitor costs, right? This is really important. So every of these aspects is definitely going to come out in your exam, right? Because that's literally what they said, and that's what I wrote. So yeah, for sure. Um, so you need to understand how to add metrics and all these kind of things. So if you do check the documentation, the exam page, right, for AI 102, you're going to see the percentage of each of these sections, right? Some sections have higher percentage, which means that you would see more questions from those sections, right? And some sections have lesser. So, for example, for week one, I think week one is between 15 to 20%. So you probably see less questions from this aspect than the other aspect, right? Doesn't mean you're going to see questions, but maybe not so much, right? So that is going to help you like prioritize um what part should I put in more time and more due diligence reading in between lines than some, I guess. So that will be for the first week. They would have just two videos, right? That you can go through. I'll try my best to keep this between 20 to 30 minutes for each video, right? It may not even be up to that really, since I'm just going to make sure I bring out the key points and summarize it, right? So in the second week, we're going to talk about computer vision, right? Note that this is not it's more about the tool than the algorithm, right? So we're not going to talk about what algorithm you're using. We're not going to talk about how the algorithms work. No, none of that. You're going to talk about how can you call this model from Azure AI and use it in your application. Talk about how can you use this model that is hosted already, right? That you only have like an API endpoint or an SDK, and how you're going to use this to build applications. Really, that's all you're going to be asked in the exam. Not really how does computer vision work and all those things, no, right? So you're going to see how to build, how like the various applications you can build with it. And if you do like, you can actually go on your own and build a project with it. So this would really solidify your understanding, right? Because when you actually get to use these things, you don't tend to forget. So like it really sticks. So if you do have the time, you can take your time and build one or two things. It makes it stick, and so you won't forget. Then the second video is going to be on still computer vision, but then we're talking about documents, right? Talking about OCR, document intelligence, and the tools and services you can use for that, right? So in the third week, we're going to talk about natural language processing. So this week has like I divided it into three videos because I think it's between I can't remember the exact percentage, but then it does have like a heavy weight on your exam, right? It's loaded, it's sort of bulky, right? You have to like know a lot of stuff. So I divided three videos, right? In the first video, you talk about analyzing text, um, question answering, building a conversational language like a chatbot, right? In the second video, we're going to talk about custom text classification, where you have like your own data set, kind of things. Named entity recognition, um, Azure Translation Service, and all those kind of things. And the third video is to talk about how you can create speech, right? Speech enabled application translation for speech. So I grouped this according to their similarity, right? So the first one, they sort of together using very similar services and do like that. In the fourth week, we're going to talk about knowledge mining and document intelligence. This is simply with Azure AI Search. So for those of you not familiar with indexing and search, so this is somewhere probably want to pay some more attention to because it also carry like some weight. So it's important to sort of pay attention to this because you might get confused, sort of not trying to scare you. So know how to create a knowledge store, custom skill, and all those kind of things. And as I said before, the best way to let it stick is actually to build something with it. So if you do want to make sure that you let this stick and not just glossing over the pages, right? I would advise you actually build something with this. So and the other video is to have building document intelligence solution, how to build like form recognizers that is automatically extracting data from forms, and all these kind of things. Then the last week, you get to be more about generative AI, which I think is really exciting for everyone here. And it's probably the least like it's it's relatively easier because number one, you're probably familiar with generative AI already, like you're hearing Gen AI everywhere. So it's like reading a very familiar topic and how to build stuff with it, how you can generate code, write prompts, and all that kind of thing. So it's really exciting. So the last week is really, really exciting. And yes, it does apply to your exam, right? Maybe not so much weight. I'm not exactly sure of the percentage now, also, but then it would come out in the exam. So that's it for the schedule for the 5 weeks. Um, I also sort of plan to release these videos during the week so that you can check this. Um, if you do have questions, right, you can always shoot me an email or you send me a message on Teams, right? I will always be willing to answer. And if perhaps you don't have my email and you also don't have the Teams, you can always message me on social media, right? Send me a message on LinkedIn. Maybe you're watching this later and you don't have any of that. So, okay. I think that that's what I really want to introduce to you guys today. So by by Thursday next week, right? I would expect that everyone perhaps are going through these two videos. So I'm going to release them during the week. I'm not sure exactly when. Perhaps maybe Wednesday and Thursday or Tuesday and Thursday. Not sure exactly. It just depends on when I'm done, right? Um, and they're really introductory, really basic. Not going to take too long to go through them. And also, I would also advise that you probably don't want to depend solely on this, right? I'm going to put in my best to make sure that I touch everything, right? But then I would still advise that on your own, you do some self study, um, you practice, right? So it's not just about watching someone code. When you actually code, it sticks. So yeah, that's some advice. I will try to make sure that I cover so many things using resources that are available. I would share those resources with everyone also. But then I would advise that you on your own do some extra work because I cannot assure you that this is all that will come out, right? So yeah, that's what I'm gonna say. Just before I stop sharing my screen, does anyone have a question on this or is everything super clear? Okay, I suppose there are no questions then. Yeah, thank you. Okay, so once again, thank you all for joining today. I don't really have anything else to say. Um, I'm gonna send an email with this recording so in case maybe you miss one or two things and you want to check again, right? And over the week, please do check your emails. That's the main communication. And the second is Teams, right? I am aware that probably not everyone is active on Teams, right? So yeah, but then also try to check in once in a while because you might have a question and someone else already answered it. So it makes it easy for me, yeah, to press information to everyone. Um, with that, I would like to say thank you for joining this introductory session. Keep an eye out for your emails. I'm going to share. Yeah, I think I will also share this document with everyone so that you can always like go through it yourself. Okay. So thank you so much, everyone, and have a lovely weekend. Bye.